Hello and welcome to a really off-the-cuff discussion on The Mandalorian and Disney Plus. So, I subscribed to Disney Plus ahead of time. I went ahead and pre-ordered, as they like to call it, even though it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so I didn't go for a year package. I'm just doing month to month until I run out of content. And mostly, it's until the Star Wars stuff runs out. Then I'll probably cancel it until the Kenobi one comes out, or season 2 of The Mandalorian, because they're already talking about this as being just season 1. Who knows how long they're going to take this stuff on for. So, this is one of the first times I've seen things on the launch day, and it's probably because I didn't have to go anywhere to do it. I'm going to start this off without really spoiling anything. I'm going to just talk about the experience first of using Disney Plus. So, the app apparently existed in Switzerland, Sweden, Finn, something over that way. One of those. Pick one. And it didn't exist over here. It was free there this whole time, but didn't exist over here. Same app finally got released here, allowed the American audience to finally view it, and the Canadian audience. I know in the UK, they still haven't gotten it. This is going to be awful for them because anybody over there who really wanted to see Mandalorian didn't want it spoiled for them. They have to wait until March. That's like what would it be? Probably 5 full months? Because all of November and December and January, February, until late March. So going 4.5 to 5 months of trying to avoid spoilers. So we'll wait until the end in case somebody randomly happens to click on this. And anyway, so the experience, some people had sign-in issues. I didn't have sign-in issues, so to speak. It didn't connect this time. Maybe try again, a little bit. Connection issues. First time I connected it here at home, great. Then I connected it out and about. It didn't work. And I thought maybe it's just the network I was on didn't allow for that website, which would be kind of strange. And then the next time I connected it, it worked, but when you went to play the video, it was just a garbled mess. Then I changed browsers, and that one didn't work at all. The 5th time is the charm, apparently, and I finally got to see The Mandalorian, which seems to be working better than Hulu tonight, which goes green every time you go full screen. The Mandalorian is about a Mandalorian who is out bounty hunting, which is... People are saying, oh, it's probably Boba Fett. Doesn't seem like it. They never ever mentioned it was supposed to be him. So far, it doesn't seem like it either. Without giving away any humongous spoilers, there's a little scene, kind of gives a little bit of a quick 5-second backstory, I guess you can say. And the backstory is not Boba Fett's. So this is just a Mandalorian. Who would have guessed, except it's in the title. Because Boba Fett wasn't a Mandalorian. He just used Mandalorian armor. Hence why this should never have been about Boba Fett. Although, I think years ago when they mentioned they were going to do a Boba Fett movie, I bet you, almost certain, I can say 100% certain, they wrote this script as Boba Fett. And then, people are having a lot of backlash about that idea, so... Let's not make it about Boba Fett. Let's just call it The Mandalorian. Probably for the best, because wouldn't have watched it if it actually was about Boba Fett. I can tell you that. Because that character does not deserve a series. Really would have been stretching things to the thinnest. You would have had, the robot in the Sandcrawler who brands the droids. It would have been his backstory next. It would have been something stupid. So, we're taking it this because we're already getting the 3rd show planned. We got The Mandalorian, which is decent enough as far as a concept, and is proving to be a great show. The Kenobi series is something I'm looking forward to. Then the 3rd one with the guy who I don't even remember his name from episode 8, who was there for 10 minutes. Not going to bother with that one at all, because it's, once again, the droid who brands the other droids in the Sandcrawler. You might as well have made it about that one. It's ridiculous. Anyway, now for anything further from here is going to be spoiler-filled to the max. So if you care, stop watching. So, you have The Mandalorian, who is about Hunter, like I said. He's on unnamed generic world number 1, and it sounds like a bad joke. So this Mandalorian walks into a bar, and he finds that there's another guy with the bounty who doesn't seem to understand he's the bounty, from what I can tell. And somehow they pick a fight. He knocks the drink over, even though he doesn't come close. He opens his door, he walks in. Oh, my drink fell down. It must have been you. Oh, it was... don't really see the connection. It was kind of a setup just to continue the plot. They could have made him accidentally be a little more obvious of what happened if he did, because I probably missed it. That's how unobvious it actually was, unfortunately. So they have a fight, and that's the scene from the trailer where he pulls the guy on the door, and the door chops him in half. Yeah, it was probably shot specifically to be for the trailer, unfortunately. Going on from there, it's... you have a comic relief guy who's the bounty. You know, it's got a different feel to it. It kind of reminds me almost of the one with Seth MacFarlane, the one that's supposed to be like Star Trek. Can't think of the name. The not the Oracle, the something with an O. Anyway, it reminds me of that show for a few scenes, where the guy, it's the first time we ever see a bathroom in Star Wars. Strangely enough, it's just a hole. It's called the back tube, as I think is what he was saying. He's got to go use the back tube so he can, what does he say, excavate his snuffleupagus, or whatever he calls it. I don't know. A bunch of made-up words to sound Star Warsy. So he goes to the back tube, or whatever he says, and he starts messing around looking for an escape. He finds a thing of weapons, doesn't bother to take one. He continues to look around, and then, of course, there's the Mandalorian. He knocks him over the head, throws him in a carbonite freezer, puts him in the slab, and then we move the story on. We never see Mr. Snuffleupagus again. Then it moves on to him getting more work, going to find what I believe was a former Imperial officer with some of his stormtroopers, who look very rough. They're all scuffed up and dirty, because obviously it's been a long time since the Empire has employed them, so they're doing whatever they can. Living on generic world number 2, somewhat deserty-like place. Underground, here's a door, sneak in with the robot guy. The eye comes out and scans his little card and lets him in. So they go on to mission 2 is to find some 50-year-old creature. All that was given was the date of birth. No name, no species, nothing else, and a little tracking beacon. So he goes to Desert Land number 3, and there is this dog, pig, man, bear, pig, dog, on top of landfish. See, the names, I don't know if they even said some of these names. I think the name of the landfish was like Pegu or Pugu or something very short like that. So, Man-Dog Bearfish was riding the landfish and comes over and saves the Mandalorian. He says, I know why you are here. You are after the target of so-and-so. People have tried and I have guided them, but they have all failed. Let me help you. Then there's a pointless scene where he must teach him how to ride the landfish thing. And of course he fails a couple times. He says, your Mandalorian has tamed the Historisaur or whatever, some history dinosaur or whatever. And you can't even ride this thing. You should be able to. And then he magically can do it. That had a little Disney feel to it, and I thought it was a little cheesy. So he goes to where the target is, and there is the robotic bounty hunter from the trailer. He shoots like this, and shoots behind him, and shoots all around him, and all that. It's a nice scene. There's a lot of action parts to it. There's a lot of things that you always wanted to see, and things you would have done in Star Wars games that they put in this scene. One of them is the turrets. They pull out a turret and start shooting, and they distract it, and then the Mandalorian gets on the turret and takes them all out like you would in a video game. I thought that was a nice little scene, and the robot has a nice little comedic relief for the time he's there, because every time he thinks he's defeated, he thinks he must self-destruct, because that was his programming. We cannot be captured, I must self-destruct. Mandalorian just keeps saying, "Don't self-destruct yet. Just keeps hold on. I got an idea." So the end of this episode, they go and they killed off all the guards, and they go into this place, and they're scanning around, and they find where it's pointing to this little pod thing. And I'm thinking, it's like, oh, are they gonna make this kind of like the Clone Wars movie where the target was a baby and that one was a baby Jabba the Hutt creature? Something weird like that. And the answer to the question is yes. But then one of them asks, I thought it was 50 years old. And the robot says, well, some species live for centuries. And what species did we know that lived to be 900 years, you will not look this good kind of deal? It is a Yoda. A baby Yoda. Whatever species, they have not said what it's called, but it's a baby Yoda. I was just thinking, they're targeting this thing for what purpose? Is it because they know the Yoda creatures are force sensitive? So I'm interested to see where they go from here with baby Yodas and non-Boba Fett's. Oh, and of course, the robot says, well, I was told I must terminate it. And the Mandalorian stops and he shoots the robot. And it ends right there. It doesn't show what he does with the little Yoda yet. But I'm interested to see where this goes. This is very... I guess you could say I had no idea, because there's no pretense. This isn't thinking, oh, well, this is Luke, this is Boba Fett, and this is Han Solo. They must be doing this and this. There's nothing. This is for the first time we're getting a story where there's no, well, this leads into this. This is an open-ended story for the first time, and that's good. I am glad, because we've had so much of, well, we already know what's going to happen. And even with the Kenobi one, we already know what's going to happen. We see where it happens in the movies after. Still excited for it. But this is the first time we have no... Well, it has to end this way because he's in this movie. Doesn't happen. And it's about time. And I'm glad. So if you don't have Disney Plus, it's only $6.99 a month. But there is a 7-day trial. So if you get the trial just to see if you like The Mandalorian, you get to see what else is on there. Most of the Star Wars movies. No Last Jedi, no Solo. For whatever reason. The Pixar, the Toy Stories, the Marvel movies. There's a lot of stuff on there. Hadn't time to go through every little menu. But there is a ton of content. And it's all stuff that's well known, I guess you could say, because it's Disney. It's not some random off-the-wall Netflix special, which gives it a lot more value. So, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.